Welcome to the Innovation Circuit, our Theta podcast. Generative AI has gone from a novelty to the top of every board agenda in about 3 years flat. The questions we hear now are not what is it, but are we doing it right and who's keeping our data safe? I'm Liz Knight, Head of Cybersecurity Practice here at Theta, and today I'm talking to the person leading our Gen AI capability, Jake Kim. Jake has spent the last 10 years not just talking about it, but actually building AI. Welcome. Let's start with learning a little bit about you, Jake. Korea, Samsung, a startup, and now Air New Zealand airport lounges. Give us the short version.
Thanks, Liz. My name is Jake Kim, and I'm a principal consultant at Theta, specializing in generative AI. I was born in South Korea. I moved to New Zealand at 15. I went to high school here and studied computer science and mathematics at university. So New Zealand is my home. I started my career as a software engineer. Then I did an MBA and moved into product management. At Samsung, I led product for Samsung Pay and then Bixby, the voice assistant. That was my entry point into AI. It was around 2016. After Samsung, I co-founded an AI startup in Korea and served as deputy chief executive for 9 years. I was responsible for building a platform for AI agents and built customer solutions on top of it. So after that, after 9 years in Korea, in March this year, I returned to New Zealand and joined Theta.
That's a busy few years. What have you learned from your time overseas working with the AI?
I spent the last 10 years developing AI tools and services. Interestingly, almost none of our first software still exists. Everything we built in the early years is gone or has been replaced. This tells you everything about the speed of this technology. The biggest lesson from this decade is how to stay relevant and read where AI is going next. And that's the most important thing and most of what I do now.
Well, there's definitely no shortages of things to keep up with, and you've certainly hit the ground running with us at Theta. Tell us about some of the conversations you've had with customers since you've joined.
Yeah, I from the second week at Theta, I joined our executive lunch tour across New Zealand. I presented on agentic AI, token maxing, and other emerging AI topics, followed by open discussions with participants. Those conversations gave us some really interesting insights.
Before you go on, you've just used a couple of phrases that some of our listeners might not know. So, agentic AI and token maxing. Can you give us a quick explanation?
Sure. Let's start with agentic AI. In simple terms, it's a system of autonomous AI agents. So when we say AI agents, the agentic AI, there are two things to remember. One is that it's autonomous, so the agent has autonomy, and second thing is that it's action oriented. So for the first 2 years, 2 to 3 years after ChatGPT, most of us treated AI as a tool or chatbot. So you ask a question and it gives an answer. Agentic AI goes further, so it can now plan, act, and review its own work. So it's less like a calculator, like a tool, and more like a junior colleague you can talk to. You can order, request something, and it does it autonomously by itself. And then regarding the token maxing, I will come back to it later because it requires a little bit more, explanation and background.
Okay, so back to meeting with customers. What were the executives and business leaders telling you when you met with them?
Um, yeah, here's the interesting part. After every topic we presented, we asked the executives to vote on what interested them the most. We got the same result every time. The top two, picks were agentic AI and the AI-enabled workforce, where AI is rolled out across the entire organization.
What else surfaced from these surveys?
Couple of things. Firstly, New Zealand businesses are watching the global AI story closely. They want a agentic future with AI that helps get work done faster. They can see the potential. Um, but the second vote tells you their real worry, which is what happens to our people. So the mood among executives is open and positive, but very careful. They have seen the headlines and following them, but they are not sure how much of it is real and how much of it is hype. And questions about quality, about human oversight, about governance, those came up without me raising them.
Yeah. Where are these organizations actually at with AI from a day to day perspective?
Um, Most organizations have the basics like Microsoft 365 Copilot for their people. Some use Claude. Um, Few organizations have built their own agents using, um, Microsoft Copilot Studio or AI Foundry. Mostly chatbots that search their own documents.
Yes, basic but useful for getting started with AI. These
Yes.
types of chatbots are what we call RAG or RAG, right?
Yes, the RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. It's an AI architecture where the model searches your own documents before answering. So its response is grounded in your business rather than the wider internet. So it is still a very common approach for organizations. And then, after implementing these chatbots, they hit a wall. The question I heard most often was, we've rolled out Copilot. Where do we go from here? What are others doing? So these are the questions the executives ask me. Honestly, it is confusing because there are, too many tools and buzzwords. It can feel like being dropped into a new place without a map.
Right. No, Matt, that's a really good way of putting it. I think we're all feeling a bit like that at the moment. I'm sure you didn't finish the sessions without giving them a map, though. Could you talk us through how AI agents have evolved since the ChatGPT moment?
Yes, that would be very useful to look at the history before we talk about the future. So let's go back to November 2022 when ChatGPT came out. Uh, I can remember my whole team was stunned and shocked. At the time, I was running our AI startup in Korea, where we were building AI agents. And for years leading up to that moment, our hardest problem was understanding user input, user intent, what the person actually wanted to do. The language models at the time could not do this reliably. So we built a huge set of rules, a rule book. So years of work classifying the user intents and deciding what action to take for each one. It was our crown jewel. Then ChatGPT arrived, and it became very clear that our crown jewel had lost much of its value overnight.
Oh, man, that's tough. How long did the shock last?
Well, for me, it lasted, I would say, more than a couple of weeks. But we also saw the other side very fast. The same breakthrough that killed our rulebook made new things possible. Things that we thought were impractical or not possible were now, made possible by ChatGPT. So we moved quickly and we became one of the first companies in Korea to build a RAG system. The document search chatbot approach I mentioned, it opened new business for us. So it was a huge turnaround point. That experience taught me the lesson I still use today. So whatever we consider best practice today can be outdated very quickly. So, build systems that are open and expandable. And that's the lesson I learned from this.
Yeah, and the ground hasn't stopped moving.
Yeah, it wasn't the end of it. It was only the start. So It's been, almost 4 years since ChatGPT launched, and roughly every 12 months, we've seen huge, changes like this in technology. Walking through, those 4 years is a quickest way to understand where AI is today and where AI will be um, in a few years' time. So let's start with year 2023, which is the year after, the first 12 months after the ChatGPT launch. It was about the prompt. So depending how your word and structure your prompt, AI may or may not give you the answer you expect. And this technique is called prompt engineering. So we are focusing on, how to structure, what structure works best. At those times, the models were not as good as today's models. So it was very important how we structure our prompt. Then the next year, 2024, the year two, it was more about the context. Now, people beginning to put more stuff into the request that's sent to the models, and the window, the context window. So this is the amount of data we can send to the model is limited. So what became really important was, what kind of stuff, or data we put into this context. It's things like, conversation history and workflows, tool definitions. You have to make a decision which is most important, uh, and to be put into the context, which need to be taken out of the context. So this is called context engineering. So that was very important for the second year, an important trend. And in 2025, which is last year, it was about creating, constraints, boundaries. So the models got better uh, at understanding, the intent and processing the prompts and so on. And also, we saw reasoning models come out. So we don't have to tell the model step by step what to do. It can reason its way through. It can plan things. But what's needed was that we've, given AI too much freedom, and it can, go off tangent. And so what's needed was not more instructions or no more prompts or more context. What was needed at that time last year was, constraints, what not to do, and where the boundaries are. So, we gave AI safety rails and operating rules, so it doesn't go off track. So this is called harness engineering. So that was the
Right.
hottest topic up until last year.
I think that's referred to a lot these days around harnesses and whether they're effective or not.
Yes.
And what about this year? This year's year 4, right?
Yes. Only this year, we continue to talk about harness engineering, how to build harnesses. But in the last couple of months, we were beginning to talk about a new buzzword called loop engineering. So people no longer need to keep checking an AI's work and repeatedly telling it to continue until the task is finished. So, in harness engineering, or even before, you are interacting with AI model by typing some prompt. AI does its work, come back with a response. You tell it to change things, or do it another way or fix something. The interaction was still, manual. And loop engineering is about automating, that interaction with the agent harness. So for more technical listeners, you may know that this started because someone wrote a simple script, a task list, and a loop that keeps running the agent until the list is done. So it was called the Ralph loop, and it was an experiment, but it spread like wildfire. Now it is built-in feature in most tools like Cloud Code and Codex. Boris Chani, who created Claude Code, he said he doesn't prompt Claude anymore. Uh, the loops prompt Claude and figure out what to do. And his job is to write loops. Um, So that's why it's called, loop engineering. So to summarize from 2023 to 2026, each of those four engineering practices was the skill for each year, and each one was overtaken about 12 months later. So effectively, four ChatGPT shocks in a row. We just got better at observing them.